USC women's basketball is revving up for the postseason, the men's team is on the wrong track, and the WNBA is expanding. All of that and more coming right up. It's the Water Cooler. Where else would you rather be? Good morning and welcome to the Water Cooler, your home for USC Sports Banter. I'm your host, Thomas Johnson, joined alongside MJ Newsom and Jack Hallinan. We're keeping our entire A block as basketball, so let's get right into it with Water Cooler talk. Roll the bump. Juju Watkins and the USC women's basketball team only has 2 more games on the regular season docket left. That means the Big Ten tournament and Big Dance are on the horizon. So let's tackle the Big Ten first. Where do you think USC stands heading into that tournament?
Well, the good news for USC is with the win against Michigan State on Wednesday, you've clinched that double bye. So the most games you got to play now is 3. You look ahead to Sunday, an Illinois team, pretty good. I think they're 4th or 5th in the Big Ten standings right now, but they're super beat up. They're missing 2 of their Big Ten honorable mention players from last year, 2 top 40 prospects. They're probably only going to go 6 deep. You should win that game. The big one, we're going to talk about it in a second, next Saturday at Pauley, the revenge game. So USC should feel comfortable how they're sitting right now.
I mean, you can't fear anyone if you're USC. Just think about not just the way they dismantled UCLA, but how they demolished Ohio State, who was then the number 8 team in the country, at home. I mean, Galen has become a fortress, and with the exception of the Notre Dame game, but the team has evolved since then, and they're looking great come the postseason. Juju's hit form at the right time.
Well, you talk about Galen Center being a fortress. Do you think that's going to be an issue that they're going to be playing at a neutral site?
No, I mean, we've seen this team play great on the road as well. It's just when you are a top 5 team in the country, hopefully better than that, you have to take advantage of having a good home presence.
Now let's talk about the NCAA tournament because I think that's what's on everyone's mind. The Big Ten tournament doesn't really matter. I feel like we can all agree USC has already clinched at least an at-large bid in the Big Dance. So we have a little bit of time up until that point, but where do we think USC's ceiling and floor is for the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I'll start with the ceiling. I think this team's ceiling is the Final Four. I think we have seen this team is super talented. You have, in my opinion, the most dynamic player in the country in Juju Watkins, and that's important. Come tournament time, you got to have somebody who's a dude and go out and score. And you got good depth as well. That's important. You got good pieces in Kiki. Kaylee Heckel off the bench has been great. Avery Howell's been shooting it well. This team is talented enough to make a Final Four run. Now, this I may shock you guys. The floor, I would say, is around a 32. I can very well see this USC team with an early exit. And
falling to it, like, let's say USC gets a number 1 seed.
Yeah.
You can see them falling to that 8-9 seed?
Absolutely. And I think it's because we've seen so much inconsistency as of late. You went to Iowa City and got embarrassed by Iowa, a very, very middle-of-the-pack team. And then you go to Wednesday. It's a decent Michigan State team, a top 25 team, but you're up 20-plus points in the third quarter. That game gets to 6 with about 4 minutes to play.
Yeah, but you win. You win by 8.
You win, but it's a cause for concern. I think there have been a lot of holes. Juju Watkins, she's been good, but she hasn't been an elite lately. Ohio State was not a good game. She played well against UCLA, played well on the other night, but there have been inconsistencies and holes where I can see this USC team losing early.
I don't know. They have 2 losses on the whole season. I can't agree with that. I think USC bottoms out at. I'll give them the Sweet 16, so a little bit closer to you just because you can never tell with March Madness, but I think round of 32 is a little disrespectful.
That's what I'm saying, it's the floor. All the way lowest point, that's where I think it is.
It's still too low for me even, though. I think, Juju did have a rough stretch, and when she's not firing, this team runs into trouble, absolutely. But it was really just like a 4-game stretch where she shot under 32% and then recovered it right in time to host UCLA. And she's a clutch player. We've seen that time and time again. I don't think she's going to shrink, and certainly the rest of this team is not going to shrink when it comes to the Big Dance.
Well, MJ, you mentioned that you think the ceiling is Final Four. Does that mean no national championship on the horizon for the Trojans?
I don't want to say no. I think you get to Tampa. That's just the ceiling, I think. And I think there's a chance you could play in that national championship game. But I do wonder, is this team good enough to beat Notre Dame again? Are they good enough to beat UCLA again? Now we're about to get there. South Carolina, UConn. I don't know. I know we've beaten UConn before, but I just wonder, like I mentioned, there have been some holes. There have been some inconsistencies. I don't quite know if this team is good enough to win a national championship.
All right, well, rapid fire. USC, after playing Illinois, will head over to Poly Pavilion across town to face off against UCLA again. Do we think the Trojans can beat the Bruins on the road one more time?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. They did it once before. They can do it again. It's going to be tougher. UCLA, it's senior night. They're going to be going for blood, but they can do it.
I'm going to pick the Bruins in that scenario. They're at home. I do think they're still the best team in the country, only the one loss on the road to a rival. I'm picking UCLA in that game. Don't hate me, though. But let's talk about the other Galen Center squad, the USC men's basketball team. Musa's squad sits at 14-12 and 6-9 in conference play. 15 teams make the Big Ten tournament, and USC currently sits at number 13 in the conference. So there are 5 regular season games left. Do we think USC can pull it out and make it to the Big Ten tournament?
It's touch and go. I mean, this team is so weird. They have some great nights, and we've seen them beat Illinois on the road. That was the first ranked win for USC men's basketball in like 10 years. Even Andy Enfield did not accomplish that in his reign.
Yeah, he sure did not. He did not do that.
And they obviously beat Michigan State, who was that number 7 in Galen. But then you go on the road and lose to a bad Northwestern team without Desmond Claude. And the game against Minnesota this past weekend, I mean, not getting a shot off on the final possession is just embarrassing. I know it was a bad situation, but they shouldn't have been down at the very end to begin with the way they played in the first half. So we literally do not know what to expect from this team any given night.
You got to get some momentum come Sunday, and I think having lost to a good Maryland team last night, that's understandable, but you're right, Jack. The inconsistencies are unbelievable. Rutgers is not very good, but Rutgers has 2 of the best players in the country. I think Dylan Harper is the best guard, the most complete guard in the country, and then Ace Bailey is literally the second coming of Kevin Durant. I mean, he is not like that good, but he very much resembles him. He's a tall guy. He can play like a guard. He scores well. I don't know who's going to guard him. I really and truly have no idea on this USC team who's going to guard him. You know, you're going to
There's
play.
no one big enough in it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the issue is the depth. But then you get to some other games. You can hang with UCLA. You can hang with Oregon. But now they're both on the road. You played them tight at home. You should beat Ohio State maybe. I think there's a chance USC wins all 5 of the remaining games. There's a chance you lose all 5, and there's a chance you split and go 3-2, 2-3. I don't know.
Well, that seems a theme to be Musselman's first season. So let's grade that year. Obviously, Eric Musselman coming over from Arkansas. Yeah, just like, how would you grade his first season with the Trojans?
I came in thinking I'd have a higher outlook, and by came in, I mean came in this morning. I'm changing my grade on the fly to a B-.
Okay.
Do you think that's still too optimistic, still too positive?
No, I mean, it's his first season. It's a winning record. Big Ten basketball is really tough at 6-9. I think a B- is fair because he brought in so many transfers. Next year, he'll have his first full recruiting class. I think B- is fair.
My theory here is
what was your original grade?
B+.
Okay, wow. Oh, so you did lower it. Okay.
Well, because I think you have to give him credit for the big wins and doing so with a limited and probably the worst roster he's ever going to have while he's coaching at USC. I think you do have to give him credit for what he's accomplished with not a ton to work with, and it's been solid at times. But, I think from a coach as experienced and well-respected as Musselman, you would like to see some of these inconsistencies be ironed out regardless of the talent on the roster. You should be able to coach a complete basketball game no matter what.
I'm going to give Eric Musselman a B. And I think for a couple of reasons. I think you kind of hit on all of it. You had some really marquee wins. I mean, you beat Michigan State, you beat Illinois. Did not think that was going to happen. But then you lose to Northwestern. You lose to Minnesota. You score 36 points against St. Mary's. That can't happen. And I'm not going to get all Alabama on you guys here. But this is the way I can compare it.
We're not even talking about Alabama,
I know,
and you bring them up?
Listen, this is how I'm going to compare it to.
As
an Alabama fan, Kalen DeBoer went 9-4 this season. Was I happy or upset with the record? Not really. It's 9-4, whatever. But it's the way that it happened. You beat Georgia. You smoke LSU. You lose to Vanderbilt? This is the thing that Eric Musselman's been doing. You beat the good teams, you lose to the bad teams, and guess what? It's exactly what he did at Arkansas. And so I hope it gets better. I hope you get your guys in your more complete team and competing in the Big Ten. but it's the same thing he's been doing. So I give it a B. Like there's positives, but also plenty of negatives.
Well, it wouldn't be a water cooler show if we didn't get an Alabama mention with MJ Newsome.
Wouldn't be.
But I'll give Musselman a B+. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic than you, Jack. But let's get back to women's basketball and talk WNBA. The league is expanding yet again, adding Golden State and now a Cleveland squad to the league. So, Jack, I'm going to ask you this first because I know you're a big Cleveland guy. How excited are you about the prospect of Cleveland getting a WNBA team?
I'm absolutely pumped. I mean, I think what's really encouraging is that the Cleveland team is going to be owned by the Cavs owner, Dan Gilbert, who's been a very good NBA owner, is willing to go into the luxury tax when he has the team. He's going to give the Rockers the current Cavs practice facility, which is already considered to be top quality in the NBA. They're going to move into a new, even better facility. But, this is such a good sign of the league's momentum. Their expansion fee is going to be $250 million, which is already over $100 million more than the fees that Toronto and Portland paid to become the 14th and 15th upcoming teams. And Cleveland will most likely, it's not technically confirmed yet, but will most likely be the 16th. And this league is just on a run. They're going to bring in 2 teams after Cleveland, too, supposedly, to go to 18. St. Louis might be in that conversation. So, the WNBA is flying right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think WNBA expansion has been great. I think every single team in 2024 doubled its home attendance average throughout the season, which is great to see. And adding more teams adds more fans, and that's important. WNBA is at its peak. Great players in the league, Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Plum, just naming a few off the top of my head. But it's been really fun to watch this league grow and expand. And I know you're excited about Cleveland. Personally, keep my fingers crossed that Birmingham may one day get a team. I want Birmingham, Alabama, to get a professional sports team. But apparently Nashville's going to get one, and that probably kills the chances. But got to love what we're seeing for the W.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on my next question of what expansion actually adds to the league. And I think the most important piece is, you see second-round draftees get dropped in training camp because there are just not enough roster spots, not enough, attrition from players retiring, adding new players in. And we see the likes of Mackenzie Forbes, a USC alum, having to play in Australia because she got drafted to the WNBA, but there are just not enough roster spots to go around for all of these players. So I think that's really what expansion adds is you get to root for these players in college. They get drafted, and now you get to root for them in the WNBA rather than having to root for them literally halfway around the world. So I think just more roster spots, more attendance. I agree. I think expansion is going to really be an exponential growth for the WNBA. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be exponential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the class of people in women's college basketball right now, being drafted to these potential expansion teams, it's going to give a lot of these new franchises a lot of energy and excitement, even if the results on the court take a little time to progress.
I agree. Well, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we break down NBA championship contenders, All-Star weekends, and the Four Nations Faceoff. We will see you soon.
Welcome back to the Water Cooler. I'm Anthony Bettino, joined at the couch with Stefano Fendrich and Sebastian Bustamante. We're going to be breaking down what really makes an NBA team a championship contender, specifically based on the 40-20 rule. This rule was first proposed in 2008 by Phil Jackson. It claims a team can't be a legitimate contender unless the team reaches 40 wins before 20 losses. Since this, 16 out of 17 NBA champions have hit it, the only exception being the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021. So far, 3 teams have reached this. The Thunder, the Cavaliers, the Celtics, and a few other teams are close, like the Knicks, Nuggets, and it may be a long shot, but also the Grizzlies. So, what are you guys thinking about this? Do you think this rule is holding up this season?
I think it is in a definite way. I got ahead of myself a little last week, started talking about the Thunder, but I really think this is the definitive best team in the NBA by far.
I'll back you on that.
They're not just the best offensive team, but they're one of the best defensive teams. They've allowed a team to an opposing player to score 30 points against them 5 times. The next closest team has allowed that to happen nearly 20 times. So this is the best team, and they're on the mark of setting records for efficiency on offense and defense. They have the best 3 through 7 players in the entire league. Man, I'd be scared to see them come NBA playoffs.
Yeah, so in terms of the rule, Phil Jackson has the most rings as a head coach with 11 and an additional 2 as a player. So anytime a guy like that pitches a theory or rule, I feel like I just have to back it up because he has 13 rings and I don't have a middle school, high school, or USC intramural ring.
Hey, yet.
Yeah, thank you. This year me and Kyle are going to clutch. Appreciate it, guys. But back to the conversation at hand. Yeah, I think the rule's definitely going to apply. I mean, I got the finals being Celtics Thunder or Celtics Nuggets. And yeah, the Nuggets haven't won 40 games yet, but they also haven't lost 20 yet. So they're in that qualification. So yeah, I definitely think the rule's going to apply. And beyond Phil Jackson, since the 1979 season, 40 of the last 44 NBA rings have come from that 40-20.
Okay, what a pull right
So
there.
yeah, I just had to.
There's a great
I
point you're
appreciate
making
that
there.
stuff.
I like how you brought up the Nuggets and some of the other teams because honestly, I think even though those teams haven't hit the 40 win mark yet, I see a better chance of them winning a national championship or the NBA championship than I see with the Thunder and the Cavs. What are you thinking about that?
Dude, I just think the Thunder are too good. And Shea's really coming into his own this season. You know, I mean, there's the debate, him or Nikola Jokic for MVP. But it's like, I think it's pretty definitively, those are the 2 best players in the NBA right now.
Oh, hands down.
Shea has been unreal. And I mean, you have the additions of Alex Caruso this year, Isaiah Hartenstein. You have Aaron Wiggins coming off the bench.
Where did this guy come from?
That's what I'm saying. Maryland, I'll tell you that. But they're just really deep this season.
That's what OKC does, dude.
They get everyone. And then they're also going to have like 3 first-round picks next year. And I think this team is, you know, not just set up for success this season, but like for potentially, you know, 2-3 years down the line, you know, competing for the NBA Finals every single season.
Look, I agree the Thunder is the best team right now. I think SGA is having an unbelievable season up for the MVP. But I just don't see them getting it done in the playoffs. I think they're too experienced. You're talking about next year. We're talking about this season. Next year doesn't matter yet.
Oh, okay.
And I
Okay.
think there's a reason
Bold
the
take.
Thunder have not won an NBA championship since 1979. And I think they are a breeding ground for star players to win championships on other teams.
Oh.
Wow. I really wish I was from
ChatGPT right there. I don't know. That was
What
harsh.
are you talking about?
That was
crazy.
harsh.
I thought I saw you on ChatGPT before this.
Whoa,
Oh, that's
whoa.
crazy.
I would never.
Wait, so Anthony, who is legit then if it's not the Thunder?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I think, like I said before, a lot of these teams that haven't reached the 40-win mark yet are going to do it soon. And this might sound crazy, but I got to spread some propaganda. I think the Knicks are going to hit that 40 mark.
Holy
and I
shit.
think they got a good chance. A healthy Knicks in the playoffs is looking real dangerous. And I know you agree with me.
Okay.
This is
You're going to hate me. And I know Kyle's in the
Thank you.
underbellings
I
of
know
our
what he's
studio
gonna
right
say.
now.
I know what he's gonna
and
say.
so I got to be careful with my words,
Just say it.
but I don't think the Knicks can do it.
Perfect.
They're 0-1 against the Cavs. They're 0-3 against the Celtics. They're 0-2 against the Thunder. They just haven't been able to beat these top teams. And let's be honest, it is a pretty big if to say the Knicks are going to be healthy come NBA playoffs. And I hate to do it to you, Bettino, but
it
I
to
just
him.
don't think they're good enough.
And Cat's having a breakout year, so like let's talk about it. Like he's putting up 13 boards, 26 points, shooting 42% from 3. Jalen Brunson's doing what him does, getting it done. But come playoffs, completely different story. So I agree with Steph, dude. Knicks don't have it.
It breaks my heart a little. I'm sorry.
They're not gonna beat the Celtics.
You don't think it? You made a good point to if, but you don't think a healthy Knicks team can beat the Celtics?
I think they can
It's
give
hard
them.
it's hard for a team to repeat, and a healthy team for the Knicks is looking real dangerous. Like you said, Cat's having an amazing year. Brunson is obviously him. I think they can really put this together in the playoffs. I think they can really form this really cohesive group and put up some dangerous numbers in playoffs.
I think they could put some dangerous numbers, but some dangerous numbers below the Celtics. So
And you know, when you think about it, like as I said, you know, the Thunder, the Cavs, and the Celtics, like those are the top dogs. And realistically, for them to win the NBA Finals, they're gonna have to beat maybe one, if not all 3, in a 7-game series. And especially when you think about it, the top 3 trios in the league that have played the most minutes together are all on the Knicks. You know, we saw it last season. They're unfortunately gonna get worn out come playoff time. But I'll still be cheering them on.
also, if it's Cavs Knicks, I'm going Cavs. So I put Knicks below Cavs.
So you think Cavs are legit then? You think they're following the rule?
Yeah, I could see Eastern Conference Finals being Celtics Cavs.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell kind of sucks in the playoffs, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, none of the players on that roster have made it past the second round of the playoffs. So that's what I'm excited to see. Actually, is the Cavs in the playoffs because they have the core, they have the coach. They just picked up DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks. So if they've ever had a good chance to have a run, it's right now.
Yeah, I mean, that trade benefited them so much. And I agree with you that the biggest question mark right now is the Cavs because they're amazing regular season. But I think there's a bigger question mark around them in the playoffs than with the Thunder. And I was a big Thunder hater just now.
Yeah, like 20 seconds ago, bro.
No, I mean, I think the Cavs suck too. To be honest, I don't think they're legit. I was just talking bad about the Knicks, but I really do think the Knicks, if the Knicks play the Cavs, I think they'll beat them. I just don't think the Knicks can beat so many good teams. But to me, the Cavs, like, they're the definition of fraud. Fraud watch right now.
Wow.
I mean, sorry, Jack.
Wow.
They're
Wow.
good in the regular season. They're going to be putting up, like, amazing offensive numbers. But come playoff time, I just don't know if they'll be good enough.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of agreeing with you. I
Thank
don't
you.
see it getting done. They have an
Thank you
amazing
very much.
backcourt, but I just don't think they're that playoff team.
Yeah, but fraud is
And
crazy.
there's a lot of season left, so we just got All-Star break. We'll have to see what happens. But speaking of All-Star games, the NHL just finished theirs, and obviously, clearly, it's been the best All-Star game of any pro sports. So let's hear from a winner of that All-Star game. Let's hear what Sidney Crosby had to say about the big win from Canada.
It's just special. I mean, every opportunity you get to wear the Canadian jersey and compete in this event, something new. But I think you saw the hockey that was on display. It was pretty incredible, and I was happy for this group. We came together in a short period of time and found a way to get it done. Yeah, I mean, just to get the opportunity to play for Canada, it's been a long time, and any chance you get to do that, it's huge. Obviously, be part of this group too. It's a special group.
And welcome back to the desk. All-Star breaks for the NHL and NBA just finished off. The NHL is moving in the right direction with the Four Nations Faceoff, and the NBA, frankly, is not moving in the right direction. And now I welcome to the desk Sebastian Bustamante and Kyle Frankel. First of all, let's talk about the Four Nations Faceoff. Obviously, not the result a lot of people wanted. Canada ended up beating the United States yesterday. But how epic was that tournament?
First of all, why are you patting my back like
No,
you're
I
a
just got your-
Canadian?
I got your back, bro. You're good.
Anyway, it was a great tournament. It was a great tournament, and obviously not the result we wanted, but a huge win for hockey. Huge win for I can't remember the last time that many people, everybody was focused on a hockey game. I had friends reaching out to me who have never seen a hockey game before, who have never watched a game before they saw the 3 fights the other night, who were like, I'm so ready for this game. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. Like, the amount of new fans that grew from this game and this tournament was unbelievable, and an unbelievable win for the NHL overall.
Yeah, like I'm gonna just keep it 100. Like I've never really been like a diehard hockey fan.
You could remove Die Hard.
But that all changed with the 4 seasons, dude. I freaking loved it.
Four Nations.
Four seasons,
not talking
4
about
nations.
hotels.
Call it whatever you want. I felt like Kyle Frankel on Christmas Day, Madison Square Garden, locked in, Knicks Spurs environment there. I was loving it, man.
I thought we were talking hockey.
We are talking hockey. First 9 seconds to 3 fights. I mean, players throwing down the gloves. Refs can't tell if they should be watching the fight or breaking it up. Each fight was like 2 minutes long. I freaking loved it, man. I was there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new fan right here. That's the success of the tournament.
Well, I feel like it was kind of an underrated moment that they scrapped the traditional All-Star game for this Four Nations. Frankly, I didn't even know about it until I think like 2 weeks leading up to the tournament, and then I fell in love with it. I don't think I'd ever watched an NHL All-Star game, ever, in its history. And then I watched the game last night because it was awesome. You have the element of national pride there. I just think this is the best Pro Bowl, whatever All-Star game that any league's ever had. So let's get into the conversation with the NBA All-Star game because pretty dreadful. Viewership was down.
Congrats to Team Shaq, though.
Yeah, congrats to
yeah.
Team
Congrats
Shaq.
to Team
Oh,
Shaq.
jeez. Oh,
The
jeez.
7 people,
jeez.
the 7 people who watched that game. So what are the ways to improve other All-Star games the way the NHL did?
I don't want to be a pessimist, but I don't really think you can. Like, I just don't think that it's a different sport. It's a different sport, and the NBA players, they just don't care as much. Like, you can do the USA versus the world. It's not going to mean as much. They're all going to be worried about getting hurt. I mean, we had Charlie McAvoy, like, break his back in the first game versus Finland, played through his broken back, and was tossing his body around against Connor McDavid. Like, Joel Embiid's not doing that. LeBron's sitting out with a sore ankle, and then he's not putting on the uniform for the team photo. It just doesn't mean the same to those
Didn't
guys.
they do that in years past? They had the United States versus the Global Stars at the NBA All-Star game?
Yeah.
USA World.
And
it was not good.
And it sucks.
It blew.
And it sucks.
It blew.
Yeah.
It blew.
There's nothing you can do.
I get it. It's not hockey, but like you're acting like it's over. Like
It is.
The Martians have a beam pointed at Earth. Like no, it's not over. Like we should do a 1v1 tournament. The best moment of the All-Star game was Kyrie against Wemby, ISO play. No, he didn't make the layup, but everyone was there. James Harden was jumping in the background. That was the highlight. So if we get a one-on-one tournament, then there's more at stake. Players actually want to play. It's bragging rights. just like we had right here with the nationalism in hockey, country v. country, player v. player.
Yeah, but they're still not playing like the game of NBA basketball. They're playing a one-on-one
Still,
tournament, and they're all just going to be trying to get highlights.
Then
This was a real game. This was guys that cared. This was guys fighting each other for countries, for the flag.
I'm not
Okay, but
disagreeing with you.
yeah, I think
There's no
he's
fighting
saying-
for the flag in the NBA right now, Kyle. I don't know. I
for the
can't
flag.
do that for you, bro. I can't simulate the Olympics in the NBA. But there's still things that we can do. Like for example, John Moran after Mac McClung dominated the slam dunk contest once again. He's like, all right, we got to make this interesting. We got to make this interesting. Like, no one wants to see Stephen Castle from the Spurs in the dunk contest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I'll just believe it when I see. Every year, there's NBA stars who are like watching the Mac McClung and they're like, oh, I'll do the dunk contest next year, and then they never do it.
So-
LeBron promised he would do it in like 2010. Still
LeBron
waiting on
promises
that.
a lot of things,
Still waiting
bro.
on that.
Well, Sebastian, I think what you're saying is you agree that there's no way the NBA can hit what the NHL has found in a gem, but they can like try to get closer to that.
I'm just saying we can't give up. Like, I don't know what
I'm not
Kyle's
saying give
Kyle's
up.
a big, like,
No, I'm not saying we should give
motivational
up.
guy. He showed up to our intramural game yesterday fired up. So I'm just trying to understand what happened between then and now, because this is.
I was fired up to play basketball. I'm not fired up to watch these NBA stars sit out with
Yeah,
sore
but you're like the
ankles.
league is doomed. Thomas is
I
like,
never
oh,
said
so
the
what
league
can we
is-
do?
I never
You're
said the
like,
league is doomed. I said the All-Star game.
you're like, honestly, not to be a pessimist, nothing. It's over. It's
Yeah,
over.
it is.
It's over.
It's over for the All-Star game. Just like the NFL should get rid of the Pro Bowl. I don't want to watch flag football.
I agree. I'm going to agree with Kyle. I think the NHL has it right. I do think the NBA can get a little bit better, though. But let's keep our last topic on hockey. We love some good puck top. It's time for the great debate. Roll the bump. We recently saw the United States beat Canada in the Four Nations Faceoff in the group stages. But the red, white, and blue couldn't win the entire tournament, falling to their northern neighbors in the championship. So we saw the United States beat Canada. Then Canada came back and beat the United States. Do we think the U.S. can ever be the capital of hockey?
Absolutely,
No.
Thomas. Absolutely. Now, Sebastian, let me just school you real quick.
Go for it.
Last two World Juniors Championships, USA.
Talking about the juniors
back
right now.
to back. That's a big deal.
Well,
that's
that's about the future, yeah.
Yeah, that's
All right.
the future.
You want to get to the juniors?
Canada
We'll get
hasn't
to the
medaled in
juniors.
the World Juniors in like 4 years. That's a national disaster for
Really?
them.
But they have,
That's an
but they
emergency.
have 19 gold medals,
Canada.
and the U.S. has 6 in the juniors.
Yeah, and we've got the last two, and they haven't even medaled.
Yeah, that means you're on the rise. That doesn't mean you're going to change.
Well, if they're on the rise, that means they
if we
can
need to
surpass.
change, we need to get on the rise.
Well,
In order to change, you need to rise.
I'm happy for you, Kyle, but we're coming back. I'm not even Canadian, but
We're coming back. You're from Miami. I got another stat for you.
Yeah, I can't play hockey in Miami.
Last season, in the NHL, highest ever percentage of U.S.-born players, lowest ever percentage of Canadian-born players. We're on the rise. They're on the fall. World Juniors, the group stage, that was a statement. Those fights, that was a statement. We don't have the top-end talent of Canada. No one's arguing that. We don't have McKinnon. We don't have McCarr. We don't have Crosby. We don't have McDavid.
right.
We got the Kachucks, and that game on Saturday, we stuffed Canada in a locker.
But top 10
bullied
NHL
them.
points leaders, how many of them are Canadians?
I just
Eight.
admitted that. I just
8.
admitted that.
I know you admitted it, but I wanted to just
We're on
put
the
some
rise.
stats behind it.
But I don't think you understand how you change. You, gotta
You know,
rise.
rises fall. It's like a stock, dude.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to fall.
It's not all stocks fall.
You know,
Well, we saw the.
I don't think you understand how stocks work either.
no, I'm a business major, Kyle. I'm there.
Well, like
forgot,
I think we
sorry.
could all agree that the United States is still like the king in basketball, but we've seen European nations rise up and beat the United States in international tournaments.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah. But like we can.
Yeah,
it's,
what we're
it's a
saying
progression.
is the U.S. going to be the capital of hockey?
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference because like the
That's like saying is
NHL,
Canada going to be the capital of American football?
the NHL is
That's
the primarily.
that is way more unrealistic.
Thank you. Well, they're both unrealistic.
No. That is way more unrealistic.
well, the
All right, well,
difference
this is
is
debate at hand.
Their pro
Roll
league
with
is a
it.
feeder
the
league
difference
for
here,
us.
Sebastian, is that all of these European players are
Throwing the
coming to the
pen
United
down.
States to play in the NBA. All these European players are also coming over here to play in the NHL. So that means naturally there are going to be more hockey players in the United States. Some of these players are going to retire, settle down, have kids. Those kids are going to grow up to be Americans, to play.
Talking about kids now? This is ridiculous.
The
We're talking
Kachuk
about the
brothers.
future.
They're talking about the
We're
future.
talking about
Oh
the
my
future.
goodness.
This tournament created
Guys,
so many
the
new
question.
fans.
The question is
Our
not
This
is
is such a stretch. You're pulling out all the
This is
stops
not a
right
stretch
now.
at all.
to talk about the future as a stretch. That's the question.
All you needed to see was how worried Canadians were to lose last night. I know some Canadians, they were petrified of losing last night.
Overtime lasted like 10 seconds, bro.
It was like
5 minutes.
I think it was 10 minutes. Yeah, it
It
was
was not 10 minutes.
I don't
it
think you watched
was.
the game.
Well, it felt like
I don't
10
think
seconds.
I don't think you watched the game.
I did watch that.
I mean, the U.S. dominated overtime up until the goal.
Yeah, well,
Well, they lost. Like,
I know, I'm just
I don't
saying,
think
it
that's a
wasn't
good argument.
domination is.
I'm just
Getting
saying it wasn't 10 seconds.
the win, dude.
Hey, I'm just gonna.
I don't think you
I'm
watched
gonna
the
plug
game.
my guy
You know-
Jordan Binnington, St. Louis Blue. Won the Four Nations Faceoff in the same place that he won the Stanley Cup final. Not related to the topic.
now we're
but
talking
I had
about
to say it.
Canadians.
Can I say something
Being
about
really
Jordan
good
Binnington?
again.
Yeah.
I hate Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, it's
he's
fair.
gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah,
I hate
Bruins fan.
I hate Jordan Binnington.
Well, the thing is, like, Jordan Binnington had to put on a
Canadians,
performance of his life. He was not the best goalie in that tournament, but he put on a performance of his life. I think they got lucky. I think the Canadians got lucky.
This is
That's all I'm going to
ridiculous.
say.
I do think they got lucky last night, and it was a key Binnington game. That's what he does. He lets up a softie, and then he's gonna make some big
World
time
Cup
saves.
hockey winners, and how many did the U.S. have? How many does Canada have?
Well, the World
Do you
Cup of
believe in
hockey hasn't
miracles,
happened in
Sebastian?
20
Do you
years.
have joy? Do you have fun?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty like.
I think if you
Chill
were
guy.
around,
Well,
for the-
think that the United States
Yeah.
can be the hockey capital of the
if
world.
you were around for the Miracle on Ice, you would have been cheering for the Soviets. The way you're talking right now.
And now we're not talking hockey, football.
That was-
Miracle
that's
on
hockey.
Ice
That's
is
the
hockey.
Miracle on Ice. This is
You got me at a loss, bro.
exactly. We
Hey,
schooled them.
sometimes I listen to that speech from the Miracle movie
My
just to
brain
hype
feels
myself
raw.
up.
rotted
same.
from this.
No other sport has that.
No.
No other country has that.
I didn't like that we played the Miracles. I saw that it was I think it was ESPN played the Miracle speech last night. They made like a highlight tape with the Miracle speech. I didn't like that. We're not like the
don't like a lot of
underdogs.
things,
It was
Kyle.
it was a pick 'em line.
like a
we
lot of
don't-
things, bro.
We don't need like the Miracle speech for USA Canada. That's like an underdog moment.
Fair enough. Well, we are going to move on at the intersection of sports and television for our final memos. Roll the bump. Former NFL running back Marshawn Lynch is increasing his acting pedigree, making an appearance in Euphoria. What are our thoughts about this? Do we think Marshawn Lynch can make it in the acting space, especially with a show like Euphoria, which is pretty serious?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one. I mean, when you hear that headline, it doesn't even sound real. Like, guy's a freaking running back, and now he's going to go into one of the deepest shows on TV right now. So we'll see what he does. But I mean, if he can take a bunch of hits, like, I'm sure he can put on a good performance in Euphoria. I'm just excited to see what character he plays. Why are you smiling?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have any like inside knowledge of how he's going to perform? Like,
It's
this is
actually
it was
Marshawn
just
Lynch's
funny.
agent. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I've never seen Euphoria, so I don't really. I know that it's an intense show. But I mean, I don't know. I think he could be funny. I don't know. I don't know. Like, how is he gonna play anyone other than Marshawn Lynch?
No, literally, he's such a brand name as a football player. Like, he even made an appearance in the TV show The League and had a good performance. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he can really actually take acting seriously. He's just a funny guy. He's Marshawn Lynch. He's the guy who drove the trainer's cart on the field that one game. Like, that's Marshawn. He's
Yeah.
not an actor.
maybe that's his role in the show. We'll see.
yeah, like, I think
maybe
he'd
he's
be-
lightening up the mood.
He could be good at playing Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
But I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Other than that, I don't.
They're just gonna add Marshawn Lynch to Euphoria. Like,
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like right now.
playing by himself. Okay.
Are they going to college in the show? Maybe he's like the new coach.
Oh, good coach. Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have today. For our entire cast and crew, I'm Thomas Johnson. We will see you next time on The Water Cooler.